Hello, Dana, Vanessa.
Hi.
Hi. All right, I'll give everyone like another 1 minute and then we'll get started. All right. Let's see who's here. Alika. Okay, yeah, you made it. Okay, cool. All right, well, I'm going to get started. Anybody else that hops on afterwards can just watch the replay here. So what I'm going to do today is we're actually going to do kind of interactive. So I'm going to actually have you guys working alongside with me as I go through today's content. So the first thing that I want to do is share the Google Doc. And what's cool about the Google Doc is you don't have to download it, print it, or do any of that stuff. You can just type your stuff right on there. So let me get you guys the link. And for the replayers, the link will be in the group. And so what we'll do today is I'll be going through the content. You guys can go through the workbook as I'm going through the content because I want you guys to actually get the stuff done. You know, that's part of why it's more of an implementation group, because I don't want it to be like, oh, we have to do homework and then what if some people don't do it. So I would like you to do it as much as possible with me or within that of whatever it is that we're talking about. Hi, Cindy. So the link here for you guys for today. And then what I'd like to do also after this is to just kind of see what some of your guys' message is already so that I can give you feedback, improvements, things like that. Because I want you to feel really confident with what your offer is, what your message is, and how you're presenting it, because this is the most important piece, right? If we can really explain well what our offer is, what they're going to get, and then we don't really need to justify the pricing, because the outcomes and the results that they're going to get justify the pricing, right? When we're confused, when we're vague, when we're doubtful, that's when people become doubtful of what we can do for them and what that investment is going to do for them. So I'm going to share my screen, and you guys can the link I just put in the chat there, what it's going to do is force you to make a copy of that Google Doc. But then once that's copied, it'll be your own copy. You can type in it. You can do whatever you want to it. So let me pull up the presentation. Where is it? There it is. Okay. I think somebody else just popped on. Let's see. Lisa just popped on. All right, cool. All righty. Can you guys see the presentation? Okay. Yeah, I can't see it for some reason on my. I see it now. Okay, cool. All righty. So Masterful Messaging is your golden ticket. So like I was saying, if if you can explain really well what someone's going to get once they make this investment with you, the price isn't going to be an issue. There aren't going to be as many objections. People usually have objections because they don't know what they're getting, or they're unsure, or they're unclear, or they don't think that this is really the solution for them. So that's when they start to question different things and ask themselves different questions. Okay, is this really for me? So what I'm going to do today is walk you through a series of questions that I want you to answer that is going to make this really clear in your eyes, and then also in the eyes of your ideal client, whoever you are. And this is like, it's so funny because it's stuff that's like, it's so basic in terms of like what it is, but so many people can't explain it. It's like one of those things where it's like, you know it, or you might know it fundamentally within yourself, but when you go to talk about it, or you go to like, describe it or put your messaging together, it becomes difficult. So that's what I want to alleviate for you, is to really have a clear understanding of exactly what it is that people are getting when they hand over their hard-earned money. And I think I talked about this last week of just like, I always ask my clients, and they usually look at me like a deer in headlights because they're like, I don't know. But the question is like, okay, if I were to give you $5,000 right now in exchange for your offer, what am I getting? Right? Like, you should be able to answer that question like that, right? Otherwise, it's back to the drawing board. How can I really explain this thing in a way that makes sense, that makes people want to invest in me? So that's what these questions that I'm going to give you today are going to help, put together. And it's really not complicated. So if you're in your head, like I know a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of females tend to do, is like, oh, we have to make this harder than it is. So if you're one of those people, just be like, okay, we're just going to make this super simple and answer the question. Like, it's very simple, very basic. Don't overcomplicate it, because the more clear and concise your message is, the better it's going to come across. Not only that, but we also want to really think about and I'm going to go through this, but like, how there's so many other offers that are similar to yours. Like, even if you feel like, okay, mine is like super different, right? It's still to feel like, oh, there's other things like this out there, right? So we want to make sure that we are also letting them know how our thing is different than theirs. Okay. So your program message must be clear, concise, and powerful in order to cut through the noise of similar offers, which is what I was just saying. Because we want to make sure that if, let's say, somebody is wanting to lose weight, I'm just going to use that as like a simple example. They're probably following multiple fitness people, or multiple nutritionists or health coaches, right? So it's like, when they come to that point where they are ready to make a change, ready to make a transformation, ready to invest in that change, why would they choose you? Right? Or what about your offer, or what about you is going to stand out for them that makes them think, you know what, I'm going to hire Cindy, right? I'm going to hire Dana because I feel connected to this person and I really feel like they can help me. So clear and concise is something that I talked about also when we talked about in last week's homework, the naming of your offer. So if you guys actually want to put the names of your offers, I did put a post in the group, but I saw only a couple people that had commented. So if you want to put the name of your offer there and your tagline in the chat, I would love to see what those are. Because again, just clarity over cuteness, or clarity over clever, typically works better, because people have so many choices. They have so many options. Their newsfeed is just flooded, right? So if I have to try to figure out what it is, then it's going to be really hard for me. I actually want to give you an example, because I ended up I came across, I think it was an ad today, and the name itself for me, I was like, what is that? Like I was just like, I didn't really understand what it was. Can you guys see me? Can you actually see me? Okay. So it's called Lush. So if I just look at Lush, I'm like, what the hell is that? I have no idea what that is, right? If I'm just scrolling and I'm like looking for something specific, health wise, or, money wise, or wealth, like Lush to me means nothing, right? Like, what does that mean? So we don't want to be clever and cute and things like that. It's still, it still caught my eye because she did have a very specific tagline. So I saw the thing and I was like, what the heck is that? Lush means nothing to me, but her tagline was very clear. So her tagline, a bath bomb company. See? So what is it is a 3-part nervous system money calibration experience. Even that is a little confusing. The only reason why I kind of get it is because I've been doing nervous system work and like somatic work. So I kind of get it. But like a normal, regular person is going to be like, what in the heck does that mean? What is a money calibration experience, right? People understand nervous system. So it's like, okay. And then her second tagline was for audacious women entrepreneurs. Okay, that's me, right? Who desire to expand their capacity to receive and hold more money from ease, peace, and pleasure. Now I know what the heck she's talking about, right? But just looking at Lush means nothing to me. Even her original, tagline was a little bit confusing if I didn't already understand what the heck she was talking about. So we just want to make sure that, we're very clear, especially when we are thinking about an expanded audience. I think it's easy to get away with clever and cute when you are promoting to a warm audience. People who know you, people who already bought from you, people who like you, people who are in your world, they absorb your content. So it's a little bit easier to get away with that. But when we start thinking about expanding our audience, reaching more people who don't know you yet, right? We have to be able to catch them and hook them in. And it's not going to be with something like that, right? It's not going to be with something that's like cute. It's like, okay, what do I actually need in my life right now? So the more clear and concise that we can get with that messaging, the better. That was actually like a really good example that came up for me today. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, and you'll see this in your Google Doc as well. For those of you who are just popping on, I put a Google Doc link in the chat so you can work alongside me today with what we're doing here. So this is one of the other biggest mistakes that I see entrepreneurs make. I used to do it all the time. Now I have to check myself. So we want to remove any filler words or what I call coach speak, which is like the normal regular person isn't going to understand this, right? Also, anything that's like fluffy and doesn't really mean anything, like live your best life, or like what did she say? Money calibration. Like, what does that even mean, right? If you're just like thinking like either what does that mean, or this could have a meaning, a different meaning for every person, then you want to get more clear on that. So say, for example, if you're like, live your best life. Okay. Living my best life is probably very different than Cindy's best life, right? It's probably very different than Olga's best life. So we want to make sure that we're very clear again on like, what is the actual outcome of whatever it is that you are putting out there, and remove anything that is just like overused words. Try to get away from those. Sometimes I will go to like a thesaurus or something like that to see if like, okay, is there another way for me to say this that's more clear? Is there another way for me to say this that isn't just sounding like everybody else? For me, like that's the main thing. If you're using these words that like everybody else is using, you're going to blend in, right? So how can you make it like a little bit different? It was so funny. I just saw, actually my business partner, she had made a post the other day about what are some of the chat GPT words, right? That like always come up, and they're words like unleash, right? So unleash this, or like, just like, what are those words that you're just like, this is just, everybody uses this word, or everybody's like using these terminologies. So anything like that, like go through your message and just be like, okay, where am I being fluffy? Where am I using like those overused words? And how can I say this differently? And how can I say this more clear? This will actually help your messaging a lot, because it's getting more granular with what you actually do than having like an overarching outcome. And when we're talking mid-ticket, so that $3,000 to $5,000 range, like people actually want to know what the heck they're getting. It's not the same as like, oh, I'm signing up for a $30 membership, or I'm spending $300 on this course. Like they actually want to fully understand and know what you're doing. This is also going to help when we move into the weeks where I'm going to be teaching you guys how to actually market this and how to essentially get the hands raised for people that are interested. So there's going to be kind of levels of people who, when you start talking about your thing, they're already warm, they're already looking for a solution. So those will be the people that when you can clearly explain this in just a couple lines, they're going to be like, that's me. I need that. So a lot of you guys, when you join this program, this and you'll learn exactly how to do this, or I'll teach you how to do this with templates and everything. I sent an email that was like, hey, does this sound like something that you want? Right. And I said, if you're interested, message me back. Now, if I was unclear in what it was, then I wouldn't have had, I think I had, I have to look now, but I had at least 20 people that emailed me back. And then once I started doing the regular promotions, I had a lot more people clicking. But those initial people that raised their hand, which was a lot of you guys in here, that's like, it just shows how close, I was to the goalpost, right? It shows how close I was to like, okay, this is something that people actually need. They understand that they need it. It's something that they want. And I was able to concisely say, this is what you're going to get. And so they were interested at that point. Obviously, not everybody that showed interest bought, but a good amount of people did. So that is one thing that I would suggest, is to get out all the filler words, the fluffy talk, the coach speak. Stop apologizing in your messaging too. We'll dive deeper into this when we go into like, the emails and the posts and things like that. But like confidence, right? And this is actually what our next slide is that people buy confidence, right? People aren't going to buy from you if they feel unsure within you. Even if they see the solution and they're like, oh, I really need that. But then something happens, or maybe you just start being like too fluffy, or you're apologetic in your messaging, then they start to kind of pull back like, oh, this just doesn't feel right. Right. And then that's when they kind of back away. So people are buying your confidence. So if you are not 100% confident in your offer, I won't say 100%, like 98%. Because there's always going to be a little bit of like, okay, I can improve this or I can make this better. But I want you guys to feel so confident in your offer that even if somebody says no, like it's their loss. Like that's kind of the way that I look at it, right? Because it's like, I am so confident in my offer. I have so much conviction in what I can deliver and what the results are going to be, that if you're saying no to this, like you're probably going to come back later. Like that's always the mindset that I have when people say no. I'm like, okay, well, they're saying no now, but once I really start promoting it and once they get it and once they're in that place that they need to be, they're going to come back and they're going to say yes. Right. So having that level of confidence is also going to just create more sales, because people are really going to know and feel like you can get them that result that you're promising. Right. And if we really look at the people who are doing really well in the industry, like their audacity, their confidence level is like sky high. You don't see the person who's like making millions that's like, oh, I don't know, maybe my offer can do this for you. Like they're very confident and bold in what they're doing. Now, not all of those people can actually deliver, but in their sales process and their marketing process, they're confident, they're bold, they're audacious, they're out there. They're not, giving doubtful. They're giving, I can get you a result. And that's how they make sales. Okay, now what you do inside of the program is completely, a different story, which I will actually be sharing with you guys also how I run my programs in a way to ensure that my clients get results. So we want to give them certainty in the offer and also in you as the mentor or the guide, because they may like the offer, but may have some doubt in you, or they may like you and be interested in what you have, but there's a little, uncertainty or doubt in what the actual offer is and what they're getting. All right, so before I get into the questions, I'm just going to take a peek at the chats. I saw that come through. Cindy, I love how much you participate. Everyone be like Cindy. Ask the questions, guys. No, for real. Like, use this time with me. Like, use it wisely. I'm here for you. I'm here in the Facebook group. I was moving this weekend, so it was a little hectic, but The Facebook group is there for that reason. I'm here with you guys live here to ask the questions, to get the clarity, to get the feedback that you need so that you are super confident when you go to launch this thing. So Cindy says, I'm intuitive and a feeling person, so it can be hard to explain in simple language. And there may be a solution to that. When we get into the marketing, there's different ways to do it. So remember last week we were talking about, if writing is your thing, like do the writing, right? If video is your thing, do the video. For one of my offers, the 10K lab, I had always just done it on a sales page. And I changed my sales page literally 20 times because I was like, and didn't ever change the offer, but was like changing the sales page because I was trying to express something that was hard to express, because especially any of you guys that have like intangible outcomes, it's like, how do you showcase something that you can't really see, right? Or you can't really grab onto, or that isn't like, okay, you give me $5, I give you a candy bar, So it's like, how do you actually do that? And for me, especially with my intuitive peeps, my spiritual peeps, it's show, don't tell. So in your marketing, it's like you're going to have to come up with ways to be able to showcase what you do, how you work with people, whether that's interviews, whether that's you on camera, whether that's case studies with your clients, things like that. But one of the things for my 10K lab is it went from like a regular, very long form sales page to mostly just being all testimonials, because I was like, I can't really explain what happens inside the group because it's like, it's just such a vibe inside the group. So it went to like the majority of the sales page was all testimonials for my clients, right? So I'm like, let them tell you how their results were and what they experienced. And then I decided to do basically like a video sales letter. So this can work really well as well, which was a 16-minute video that I got, and I can post it in the group so you guys can see what it was. And it was a 16-minute video that just explained how they were going to get the results, how I ran the group, who it was for, all of those kinds of things. And that worked really well, and that just worked as like an extra piece of content, extra piece of marketing, that people were like, oh, okay, I get it now. Right. Because it was something that was formatted very differently than the majority of the groups that were out there. So that's something you can do when we get into the marketing side of the program. We'll discuss that more. Name is to be determined. Current program is called Happy Children, Happy Family, and I don't think I can use it if I'm creating a more outcome process specific program. Yeah, or a really strong tagline would have to support it. Yeah. It's said to be called Calm and Confident Parenting. I didn't love that one either. Lush to me, Lush, yeah. I've got big goals and I need clarity. Yes. Oh, it used to be called. Yeah, I like the idea of having parenting in the title or something with parent, so that it's like it's very um undeniable, like who it's for. So that's another thing that I like to do when I'm naming is like sometimes I'll bring in like who it's for, so it's either like the outcome, the result, or actually calling out the ideal client so they know, oh, that's me, like my Facebook group, which isn't an offer, but my Facebook group is called The Ambitious Babe, and for me, it's like, it's, people that aren't really ambitious or driven or like have that type of motivation probably are going to be turned off by that, which is fine because, my ideal client is someone who, like you, has big goals. They have the ambition, like they're ready to do the work. So, don't be afraid to, I don't want to say leave people behind, but don't be afraid of the people who aren't meant for your offer. Don't be afraid to like say no to them. And also don't be afraid to turn them off because they're not your ideal client anyway. And within this type of program, this mid-tier program, we want to make sure that we have the right people in. Because when we have the right people in, they get the results, we feel better, and then the program can just flourish and get better and better. When we bring in or just say yes to anybody, they don't do the work, they don't get the results, we start to think that something's wrong with us. So yeah, there's just a lot to it, so don't be afraid to single out your people and repel the people who are not for you, so if that helps with the tagline and things like that. Alrighty. Okay, so now we're going to get into the questions. Does everybody have the Google Doc up? Hi, Cami. In the chat, I posted a Google Doc that is we're kind of like going along with my presentation in the Google Doc today. So you should be able to get that. Alrighty, I'm just going to mute you and go back to the presentation here. All right, let's see. Okay, so in your Google Doc, you'll see these questions. You don't have to do them right now, but I would say do them today. Like just, and again, try not to over complicate it, in terms of just answering the questions, right? Okay, I'll get back to your thing in a second, Vanessa. So why you? Why you? Because like I said, if somebody's looking for a solution, you're not the only one. Chances are. Think of it like dating, right? Like if I'm dating multiple people and I'm trying to find the one, right? Or I'm trying to find the winner, whoever's going to be able to, whisk me off my feet, right? But there's other people that are in the running. So it's kind of the same thing. If I'm looking for a health coach or I'm looking to improve my health or lose weight, I'm probably following a couple different people. If I'm looking to improve my business, same thing. I'm following a couple different people, looking at what they're doing. So answer that question. Why you? Is it your experience? Is it your integrity? Is it the format of the program? Is it, your client results? So why you? Is it your level of care? For me, a lot of the things that I lean on are my client results, my experience, my expertise in whatever the topic is. So for me, for example, I always go back to the 10K lab because that was my mid-ticket offer. And the 10K lab was interesting because I had made my first 10K month in the first profitable year of my business in December. So it took me that whole year, right? Made my first client sale in February. And then I kind of like was going back and forth between like 2K, 4K. I think 6K was probably like my highest month. Then I went back to 2K. And then finally I cracked the code for myself and I had my first 10K month by that December. And so at that point, I decided I was only going to have 10K months or more. Like I would never have less than a 10K month because in my head, I was like, if I did it once, I can certainly do it again. Right. So, that was back in 2014. So we're talking 10 years now, 11 years now. And I had always throughout that time still helped people get to 10K months. I didn't help people get to 10K months then. And that's what a lot of people do now. They're like, oh, I made a 20K month. I'm going to show you how. And it's like, wait, you just did it one time last month. How do you know that you can show me how? Right? Just because you did it one time last month. So I stayed in my lane there. Like even when I was making way more money, I still was teaching people how to make 10K months because that was my wheelhouse. That was my experience. That's where I knew that I could help people. That's where I knew that if the person had all of the right pieces and they put them together properly, that they could easily make 10K months. Right? Now, if we go into like further than that, like, I've made millions in my business, but I don't teach people how to make millions because I don't believe that the majority of people can, and I know also in my experience, like there's so many different factors. So for me to just be like, oh, I've made millions, so I'm going to help you do it. It's not an integrity for me. Right. So think about that too. When you're thinking about your offers is like, what are you just really good at? Even if you're doing way more, if it's like a business thing, or even if you, are weight loss coach and you lost 100 pounds in, I was going to say 30 days, that would be really crazy. But let's say you lost 100 pounds in a year, but like, you don't want to help people lose 100 pounds in a year. You want to help them learn how to quit sugar or get their nutrition in order because you know that like, that's the thing you're really good at. And that's the thing that you can help people with. So why you? Your experience, your client results, your expertise, your skills, like you're really good at certain thing. Why this? So why this offer when they have so many different options? Why this? Also, I like to kind of think about this in terms of my own other offers that they have. So for example, like I have an offer called 5-Figure Freedom that is to help people get to 10K months. And then, I have this offer which was my beta from Mid-Ticket Mastery. There could be crossover, but they're very different in format. Okay, so the 10K or the 5-figure freedom is more, it's not as structured, and it's just like what I call coaching circle. So people come in, they get coached by me every week. This is very formatted. This is very structured. Every week you're going to do this, you're going to walk away with that. So answer that question. Why this? Why this program for this specific person? And that's something that you're always going to want to go back to as well, is who is your person? Because if you can have the clarity on who that person is, and I believe this was in your last week's homework, it makes everything a lot easier too. Because when you get into this idea of, I want to help a lot of people or I want to help everybody, then that's when your messaging gets watered down. That's when it gets to a point where it's just like everybody else's thing, you know? And so particularly for my 10K lab, it wasn't for newbies. You know, it wasn't for people that didn't have a business. I was very specific when I launched the offer. This is for somebody who's already making money in their business, not a lot, but you know, they're maybe making like 3 to 5K and they want consistent 10K months. So that already eliminated a lot of people, right? So it was like, if you were brand new, just started your business, weren't making money in your business, you are not an ideal client for this offer. So be very, very clear on who the offer is for. And like I said earlier, it's going to make your life better because your clients are going to do the work, show up, and get the results. And just don't be afraid to be clear about that. And how is this different? So how is this different than everything else on the market? Which would probably maybe be a combination of the first two questions here. But it could be other things as well. So how is this different? Maybe it's a different format. Maybe it's a different structure. Maybe you're teaching like something completely different. I have a client who she does grief wellness, which is like a new industry for me. So she does grief wellness and she's a massage therapist. And so her concept is that most people believe that grief is psychological, mental, emotional, and her thing is it's in the body. So it's a very unique point of view of how she works with her clients. So for her, it's like, how is this different when everyone else is trying to treat your emotions and what's going on with you mentally or how you're feeling? I'm here to help you work through your body and what the trauma that your body is storing, right? So think about those types of things as well. Like if you have just a different perspective on things, if you're just like, yeah, I see this very differently, and like, don't be afraid to do that stuff. What I was saying earlier, be audacious, be confident. Even if you have something that you're just like, this is totally different than what most people are teaching. This is totally different than, the norm or what society says. Like, those are the things that are actually going to blow up. Those are the things that are going to be like, people are going to want it because they're going to be interested in it. Now, obviously, some people are going to repel it instantly because they're not going to want to stray from what the norm is, but you're going to really attract your people. Also, just remembered something with a program that always stuck out in my mind when it comes to messaging clearly and concisely, knowing exactly what your offer is and who it's for. There was a woman who did an offer. It was a low cost offer. It wasn't, like a mid-ticket or anything, but it always stood out to me because she was talking about trauma. And lots of people talk about trauma, right? Like trauma is like the new thing, right? The new buzzword, like everyone wants to help you heal your trauma. And instead of talking about trauma as a whole, right? So grief, physical trauma, an accident, war, whatever. Instead of talking about it in like a broad sense, she put out an offer about sexual trauma that women experience. And she ended up getting like 600 people in her program. Like no advertising, no anything, but because of the specificity of her program and who it was for, and it was specifically for this type of trauma, she got so many more people to sign up for it than if she would have just said, I'm going to help you heal your trauma, right? Because yeah, people want that, but that was so broad, whereas this was like very specific to something that was holding them back from making more money in their business or whatever it was that she was, her what around her messaging was. This was a while ago, so I don't remember exactly, but be clear, be specific, and you'll make more sales. All right. Now, the next thing you'll see in the Google Doc is your outcomes and your results. So one of the easiest ways for me to expand on my results, so you would have done this last week in your homework. If you didn't, you can do that this week. But whatever your result is that you wrote, I want you to expand on that. And the way you expand on that is whatever your result is or whatever the outcome is. And then so that you can literally like say that, so that you can X. So let's say, for example, your result is confidence. Okay, confidence for what? Right? Confidence so that you can ask for a promotion or a raise. Confidence so that you can set better boundaries in your relationship. Right? So this is a way I like to expand and just get a little bit more clarity on what that result is. Right? Weight loss so that you can show up at your 20th, high school reunion and make all the dolls drop, right? So think about it in that way and really think about like what is actually happening for these people. Now, if we go back to what I was saying in the beginning with the coach speak, right? Get more granular here. This is where you can get more granular, really thinking about what is this person actually going through, right? Is it a loss of confidence? Like, would you talk about that? Or you have low self-esteem? Or would you say you keep your mouth shut in order to keep the peace? You got passed up for a raise by somebody who just started with the company 2 weeks ago. So actually think about the actual scenarios and things that this person is going through, because when you can start to weave that into your content and your copy and your messaging, people are going to feel way more connected to you. They're going to really feel like, yep, this person can help me. This person knows exactly what I'm going through, and I know that they can help me. So get really clear on that. Again, don't be afraid, because if one person experiences it, there's likely millions of people who also experience it. They're just not saying it or whatever. So it's not like you're just like, oh, well, only one person is dealing with this. No, the majority of people's problems are all the same. It's just a matter of like how it represents in their life. So lean on the results. So in your Google Doc, I would do that. I have only just 5 outcomes there, but you can do as many as you want. So put your result that you did for last week's homework and then expand on it so that you can, or you can say so that they can, I guess would maybe be the proper grammar, but you get what I'm saying. You're going to have this result so that you can blank. And then to piggyback off of that, what can they do, be, or have once they implement your teachings? So this is another thing I love to ask is, once I'm done your program, who can I be or what can I be? Once I'm done with your program or your teachings, what am I going to be able to do? What am I going to be able to have? Some of these will have a little bit of crossover, but if you just kind of brainstorm and think of all the things that, when this person, I always say, like, when this person walks away from this program, they're going to have this, this, and this. They're going to be able to do this, this, and this. They're going to be more confident. They're going to be an award-winning entrepreneur. They're going to be, a cherished housewife. I don't know why I said housewife. I meant to say wife, but clearly something's going on subconsciously there. So whatever it is, like, what are they able to be, do, or have? And if you can, again, pulling all these pieces together, you guys can see how clear, right? Like, okay, once I know all of these things, like, selling this thing is going to be easy, right? So, let me see. Okay. For example, let me see. Do I have my thing up here? This particular course, when I promoted it to you guys, let me see if I can pull it up. It's hiding. Where is it? Oh my God, I can't find it. I got too many tabs open. Here they are. Okay. So when I promoted this particular course to you guys, um, I said that you would walk away knowing your offer. You'll know exactly what to sell, how to package it, how to price it, and who to sell it to. You'll have your messaging. You'll be able to craft compelling and magnetic messaging that will have your potential clients begging to pay you. Your positioning, your reputation, and how you're viewed in the marketplace matters, especially when there's fierce competition. Learn how to position yourself as the only and obvious choice for your ideal clients. You'll know how to market, sell, and launch your offer in alignment and integrity. You'll get the exact emails and social media posts you should be sending and posting. You'll learn how to open and fill your enrollment periods and how to generate 5 figures in recurring revenue every month with just a handful of clients. So you see how very clear it was in terms of the outcomes. So I want your outcomes to be like that as well. So that way, when we initially start sending those emails to find out who are the warm people, the hand raisers, it's going to be boom, 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 boom. They're going to read that and be like, this is what I need. I'm interested. Okay. So that's the level of clarity that we want to have when it comes to your offer and what's included and what they're getting. All right. I have way too many tabs open. Okay, so questions. Ooh, what just happened? That was cool. All right, let me see. Vanessa says, I'm an accountant, a tax saving strategist, and a financial coach. My signature program is called the Online Business Finance Blueprint, and I always thought it was too long title. I'm not sure if I'm going to change it though, but I love it. So I don't mind it. I like acronyms. So it could be OBF, the OBF blueprint, so like my 5 figure freedom, I call it FFF. This one I actually shortened to like MTM. So you could have like a little like thing like that, Vanessa, where it's, you kind of give it like a little nickname, but that clearly shows me what it is, right? It's for online business. It's about my finances, and you're giving me some sort of blueprint. So for me, that's very clear, right? So yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's totally fine. But like I said, you could also, once you're actually like talking about it in your content, you might not want to write all that stuff out every time, like the Online Business Finance Blueprint. So you could say OBF, right? Or OBF Blueprint or something like that. Dana says no advertising with sexual trauma. Yeah, no, she had a pretty decent audience. But yeah, she had over 600 people in there, which is pretty crazy. All right, so let me close out that. Malika says, I'm still trying to decide what I want my program to be called. I work with wellness professionals to help them make more money with visibility strategies, productivity hacks, and mindset shifts. I was thinking my mid-ticket program would be around getting your first high-ticket client. That's very clear for me, right? And especially in that space, right? Because I feel like wellness health coaches, like there is some resistance there in terms of like selling high ticket. So that definitely could be a draw for your people. And it's very clear, when I think about the title, think of your outcomes. What are the results? What are the outcomes? And then that's what you can, call that. It could literally be, get your first high ticket client for wellness professionals. Like it could be something that simple. Like I said, I don't think it matters too much in terms of like, oh, the length of it, or it's not cute. Like I want to know what I'm getting, especially if I'm struggling. If I'm a wellness professional and I'm struggling and I know I want to help people and I just don't know how, like, ooh, how would I get my first high ticket client? Like that's going to be the step one, right? Like I'm into it. Like, what do you got? Right. So I like it. They seem to have to do it for, yeah. And it's interesting because again, this is like knowing who your ideal client is, because there's different, like the spiritual peeps, or like one of my girlfriends, she works with psychics. And so she's like trying to teach psychics how to actually create a program like this, right? Like how to just go beyond the reading and just giving people a psychic reading to actually bringing them into an experience, which is something they're not used to. They're like, oh, $50 for a reading. right? And it's like, oh, well, you could charge, $2,000 and have a whole experience for somebody, right? So yeah, also just knowing like who your people are is really going to be important as well. All right, ladies. So what questions do we have? And then, like I said, if you could get this done, doesn't have to be today, but like soon, so that way it's fresh in your mind, get the answers out. And then when we move into the marketing pieces, we have a lot to work with. I have a question about timeline. Yes.
Okay. So my question is, I did my launch for my group. I'm currently in it, and I have a whole sales page that probably needs revamped. My question is kind of, when should I launch it again? Because I'm still getting my head wrapped around how I'm teaching it as I'm teaching it. And I made some promises, right? And that one lady left and wanted a refund because like promises were made, but yet it hasn't been fully delivered because I haven't delivered it in the program yet. So I'm wondering, do I do something else in March to like get them ramped up for the launch? Maybe I do a launch in April. Or do
How
I
long
need
is
to, it's 6 months.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So is it going to be open enrollment? Like people can join anytime?
I planned to launch it 4 times a year.
Hmm.
But I'm actually open to it being something different. I'm open to it shifting, right? Based on everything.
I would either, if you're going to keep it 6 months, I would probably have some sort of open enrollment, like people can join anytime because the length is long, or shorten it to 3 months and then do the quarterly launch.
Okay.
So that way you have like a cohort, a cohort, a cohort. So it really is
Right.
just a matter of like preference there.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're going to keep it open, then you can just launch it whenever.
Yeah.
You can
But
just
I
start
think my
talking about it
hesitation
whenever.
is I don't know what I'm doing exactly. Meaning like I have a grand plan, and I have an idea, and they are already getting results, even though we just started. But in terms of deliverables,
Hmm.
right? Because I'm coaching it live and I'm literally making up as I go based on my framework. So, and I'm a little shook about that client canceling, to be like, I must have not been clear in the marketing on what
Hmm.
it was.
Yeah. If you want to pop, I don't know if you have a sales page. If you want to pop it in the
Yeah,
group, I
I'll
can
pop
take
it
a look
in.
at it later.
Yeah.
But this is a situation where I'm like, I do suggest that some people, depending on where you are, you may want to do a beta run first.
Yeah.
So even though I have tons of experience, right? I've been running programs for, God, I don't even know how long, 11 years,
Right.
however many programs. When I'm doing something new or I'm shifting a format of something, I still like to do a beta program for that reason.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you guys are coming in, you paid $500. This is going to be, a much more robust and more expensive program
Yeah.
once I iron out all the kinks. And
Yeah.
I know what the deliverables are, and I know what format works best. And maybe 6 weeks is too short, and I might have to go to 8 weeks. And
Yeah.
so it's like doing that does help. I mean,
Well,
you're
the
already,
psychology of the participants is more open
yeah,
versus this girl was like, you promised all these things and
right,
where are they? And I was like, hold on.
right,
So yeah,
right,
that makes sense.
right,
Yeah. Okay.
exactly. I mean, obviously, you can't undo the
Yeah.
past, so it's just like, how do you work through that? But yeah,
Yes.
for future, like I always just like to run it as a beta first, and like you said, people are
Okay.
more open to like, okay, it's not perfect,
Right.
right? But I'm getting this in exchange for
So
that.
I guess my question now is what to do with the current program. Like, so I'm obviously going to run the current program. Do I pause before marketing it again and figure out what it is? Is it going to be 3 months? Is it going to be like, do I actually just do the recordings? Because that's all that's missing is recordings in the back end to be like, these are the pillars, these are the recordings. And for some reason, I feel now that I'd feel more confident if I already had the recordings in the back end before I promote it again.
Yes and no. I feel like if you get into that mindset, you might procrastinate. And
Yeah.
then it's, 6 months before the recordings are done, and
Well,
then you're
for
not
me,
knowing how to
actually, what I would do is do my hair and makeup for one day and record
and
10
just do it.
videos.
How many
Yeah,
people are in the current group?
3.
Okay. So another thing you could do is, because it's only 3 people, you could go to each one individually and say, hey, here's what I've noticed. Here's how I'm going to be shifting the program. In order to make up for the changes, I'm going to offer you, free one-on-one session
Yeah.
or Boxer access or like something, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So because it's only a small group of people, that's probably what I would do if I was in that situation and I felt like, oh, I need to pump the brakes and like pull back.
Yes.
I might do something like that, like to
Okay.
say, hey, while I'm figuring things out or while I'm shifting the program
Yep.
or shifting the format, I want to offer you this instead.
Yeah.
So you'll get this,
And then would you do group Voxer or would you do individual Voxer for the 3 people?
If it's only 3 people, I'd probably do it individual.
Okay. Yeah. That actually feels really good to me because that would feel
Mhm.
like an over deliver and that would help because they're all at different places in their psychology. And I'm realizing that. Okay.
And that's what I was saying earlier
Yeah.
too. Like once like being very clear in this offer is like
Yes.
so much clarity, so much specificity in what they're getting and in who it's for. And when you
Yes.
put those 2 things together, that's when the magic happens.
Okay.
And people
Cool.
are like, here's my money,
Yep. Yep.
because they're very clear.
All right. So I'm just going to say I want to relaunch again in April with complete clarity. And I'm going to reach out to them, give them Voxer access and like just really over deliver to them and go from there. Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Love it. I love your little office there too. Very cute.
Thank you.
All righty. Dana says, I don't have clarity yet around what I'm offering, personal subconscious mastery or be the light. Right. I don't know exactly what I want to teach yet. So I would just think about what do you enjoy? Because you have so much experience, Dana, in like a bunch of different things. So I always think about like, who are my favorite clients, or who are my clients that got the best results and kind of lean more into that. Like, well, if you had to choose, because I know you do a bunch of different things, which one is the most enjoyable? Which one are you the most excited about? Because I know a lot of people that work with people in trauma and like things like that. And what they experience is like, it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, it brings their energy down, being with like working with certain types of people because of where their mindset is and what their state is. Whereas like, let's say if you have somebody that like has trauma and is more in like a victim mindset, like that's going to be hard for you to work with that person, right? It's going to feel like an energy drain on you. Whereas if you're talking about subconscious mindset to be the light or to achieve something big or a goal, that's a more open and willing person that's probably going to be more expansive for you. So I would just think about that's where I would start for you. Like, who are your favorite clients? Like, what type of work do you enjoy doing the most? And then kind of from there.
What's hitting me most is like some sort of spiritual evolution, like week by week, taking them through the different pillars of self-actualization, meaning, first they're safe and then they're connected and basically going up and clearing out whatever is going on through their whole energetic system until they're filled with light. Like that's what keeps coming to me for months is be the light, be the light, be the light, be the light, be the light. And so it is more of like this spiritual evolution. The personal subconscious mastery is kind of like what I'm sensing is it would be a healing program, but also self mastery. So by the time you're done, you have a bunch of tools in your toolbox that at any given moment, it's like a medicine cabinet.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So those are, I mean, it could
So
be.
so I would be thinking, okay, be the light. So once I'm filled with light, again, going back to those last slides, like what am I able to do or be or have? Like what is the actual outcome?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Well, it would like total healing, in the sense of, I mean, it can't always guarantee total healing, but when you are evolved, you are feeling better, looking better, your health has, your physical health has increased. But that's why it's not exactly so tangible. It's just intuitively, I keep getting this as something to teach.
And then also think about like who's the person that's going to say yes to that? Like where are they at in their life? Where are they at in their spiritual journey? Are they already looking for that type of solution or are they stuck and they don't know what they need, but like this is what they need? you know, so you want to
Right.
think about it from that perspective as well.
Yeah, I don't have clarity exactly yet. It's more like a big part of the reason I joined this program is because I keep hearing be the light, be the light. I'm like, okay, let's do something practical and tangible to create some sort of program,
Yeah.
but it is more this kind of intuitive messaging I'm getting. So,
So yeah, I would just work through the questions that are in today's worksheet and see if you can get some clarity there. Like if you can't get clarity on exactly like what the outcome is yet, then get clarity on who, and that might help you get clarity on the other thing and vice versa. The other thing you can do too, like I used to teach doing surveys and things like that, like way back in the day. That's not really the way I operate anymore. Think of 3 people, Dana, and anybody else who might be in the situation. Think of 3 people who are your ideal client and literally just see if you can have a conversation with them, a 10-minute conversation. That's like, hey, I just want to ask you some questions, right? So getting it actually from the horse's mouth of like what they're actually going through. Are they willing to invest in something like this? What would be their expectations of a program like this? And really getting into those conversations so that you have a better idea, like reflecting back to you of like, oh, okay. So even just asking like, what does be the light mean to you? Does that mean anything to you? And then
right.
I'm sure you will get like tons of people, like obviously you would want to record it. And then you can transcribe it and now you have copy for your
Right.
offer, right? So that's what I would do, even if it's like 2 people that you're just like, no, this is the person for it. It could be a friend, it could be a past client. I like to interview past clients because they've already paid me. So I know, there's some sort of connection there. There was something that made them work with me before. So I like to get that from past clients if you have them and just like interview them for a few minutes and get all the information from them. Because a lot of times they'll be the ones that are actually telling you what to offer.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's see. Lika says, Kimmy, some people just get nervous and don't believe in themselves. Yeah, that is true. All right, Melissa says, I'm trying to get clear on what I want to lead with as well. Branding and online visibility, mindset and sales. Ideally, I want a 1-year program that focuses on everything, but I need to niche down for the mid-tier course. Again, what I was just saying to Dana, like what feels the most exciting to you right now? I think obviously like, yeah, I would keep those 2 things separate. I would keep them separate for now because mindset and sales I could see going together, branding and online visibility. I feel like it's harder to sell something that is what's the word I'm looking for? I say your program can either be shallow or deep. Okay? So if you're covering a lot of different things in one offer, then the modules aren't going to be as in depth, right? So for example, I could have done this offer as like something around your offer suite, right? And it could have been your mid ticket, your low ticket, your high ticket, how to do this, how to do that. But it would be me just like tapping a little bit on each one. Whereas because this is specifically on that mid ticket offer, I'm going really deep with you on this specific offer. So like everything's going to be uncovered. You're going to learn everything you need to know about launching the mid-ticket offer. Now, I'm not opposed to doing the 1 year. If I know a couple of you guys are doing the 1 year or want to do a 1 year as your mid-tier course. The thing is, like I was telling Cami, if you're going to do that, then you're going to want to have some sort of open enrollment because you don't want to just have one time a year where you're making the money. Right? Because then what if the launch doesn't go well? What if you only have 2 people or 3 people? So if you want to do more like a 6-month or a 12-month, I think it's okay. But you would want to have some sort of open enrollment versus like live launching.
Yeah.
But back to
Yeah,
yours,
no, definitely.
yeah, back to yours, Melissa. Like what's more exciting right now? Or what do you feel like your people really want? Do they want that outward like branding and online visibility, like they're into their personal brand and showing up and like that's what they want to do? Or is it more of like, because I feel like sales is like an internal thing, right? Mindset, sales, like understanding that process. Like I feel like those are two totally different things. They obviously come together, you know, in the whole scheme of things, but I feel like they're two totally different things.
Yeah, no, they totally are. So I don't really know because I haven't coached for a while, so I'm just getting back into it. I'm rebranding, so I'm just trying to kind of figure out what I want to lead with. I'm thinking the branding, you know, like, but in terms of, well, it's not just branding though. It's about creating a brand, you know, but it's about creating something that's
Personal
very
brand.
bold.
Yeah, personal
Right.
brand.
It's your personal brand. But it's also the visibility piece. So like I had mentioned last week where a lot of people, I think a lot of people struggle, even myself, with not showing up enough or boldly. So people, right, like showing up on video, doing, you know, getting a lot of content out there because of the blocks that they have around being visible.
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like mindset is always a through line, no matter what you're doing. You know, whether you're doing visibility, health and fitness, whether you're doing parenting, like the mindset is always a through line.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but it's for what I'm teaching, it's not just mindset. It's about the blocks emotionally, right? For women that hold them back from showing up, right? Not feeling confident in how they appear or how they come across on camera and live video, and also giving them tools to empower them so that they feel super confident. Also, meaning like my perspective coming from the beauty industry, you know, with that background too. So it's kind of like all those pieces, putting it all together and something that's actually unique and different that most people don't teach when they're just saying, get on video. Like, yeah, I want to walk through people taking the action, but then also giving them other tools like, okay, you know, people will say, well, set up a studio, you know, the light, like, all, you know, going through all of the pieces, like the lighting and all of that, but taking it a step further and saying, okay, the lighting is really important, but also, you know, if you do your makeup this way for, you know, the way you should do it for like photo shoots, you know, in front of the camera, you know, to show up as your best self. You know what I'm saying? So that's
I
kind
love
of like all the pieces that I want to bring. That's my vision, but it's also being able to say it in a way that comes across the way I envision it.
Well, I would just start, I would do
But
some sort of like scripting, like just write it all out. You know, I don't know if you've done that yet, but just like all the
I've
things
got
that you're
some
saying,
right now.
like, okay. And then like this piece and this piece go together, and this piece maybe goes into a different program later, you know. But really think about like how all the pieces fit together. I love everything that you're talking about, and it's all needed, and it's definitely something that people want right now.
Yeah.
I love the names.
And also unique, like unique branding. So like what I'm seeing out in the marketplace, and I'm sure we all do, you know, people will go and they show up for their photo shoots and everybody is kind of looking cookie cutter these days. Like that's like they show up and don't get me wrong, I love high fashion. I have it all, you know, all the things. But when you're trying to brand yourself, showing up in a unique way, like for instance, I have a photo shoot at the end of the month. It's going to be kind racy, sexy, different. It's a different vibe from what everybody else is doing out there with their, you know, polished, you know, cute little like business suit and, you know, or like, do you know what I'm saying? Like showing up with just like, but it's very cookie cutter, you know, what I'm seeing out there when everybody's doing their photo shoots. And
so I would say,
what I'm going to show people. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what are the words? Like, that's what I would be thinking of. So like,
Yep.
bold,
So
unique,
boldly.
audacious,
So yes, like showing up boldly visible. That's the thing that has always come up for me.
Yeah, so I would be thinking about what are those words are, and then you could even put it in ChatGPT like I had in last week's thing. Like, okay, I have a
Yeah,
program
I'm
that's
gonna
going to
do
help
that.
people with their personal branding and their online visibility. These are their struggles, and these are their outcomes. They're going to show up with, confidence, boldness, audacity. Help me come up with 10 potential titles for my offer, and like
Yeah.
it'll spit it out.
And that,
So
yeah.
yeah,
And
I
that's
think
why
it's
I come
very
up with
clear.
the magical branding, because I have a vision for what that photo shoot's going to look like. And it's very like magical. Like when you think of magic, or also storytelling and showing up in a way that your photo shoot and what you present out there actually has a story, that it has a vision where people look at it and they're like it has a wow factor. It's like a wow factor that like, oh wow, like, they're showing up as a character, almost as not just a woman that has a nice designer dress on and her red bottom shoes and a designer bag, sitting, in front of the Eiffel Tower or something. You know what I'm saying? Like showing
Yep,
up
the
with
famous
something that's
Eiffel
very
Tower.
different.
I think that could be
Yeah,
a separate
yeah.
I think that could be like a separate workshop that you could do. With that, like how to show up for your photo shoot or how to storytell in your photos. Like that could be a workshop that you do or something separate.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole part of, so that's my vision for what I feel like, what I see that I want to teach on. So that's why for this, I'm like, okay, how do I niche it down into something quick, short, that they can get something out of it, that's going to help them, which I mean, I know I can, but it's just about matter of me, like kind of condensing this. So I guess, like, am I focusing on the photo shoot and video? Because I want them to show up, and also they got to leave with something like they've taken action and they've accomplished something too.
Well, I think the photo shoot thing, not everybody gets photo shoots.
Right.
And not everybody's getting photo
Which
shoots.
is fine.
Now.
Because
Like,
I don't want to deal, because honestly, so my thing is that, well, then they're not my ideal client, because I want to
no,
work
I
with women
understand that. I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
okay, I get photo shoots, but if I'm not getting a photo shoot in the next like month or two, I wouldn't buy it because it's not, you know what I mean? Like it's not
Right.
timeline wise, like it doesn't make sense for me to purchase that right now. So I would probably lean more on the online visibility, the video, how to show up, and then the magical branding, like the photo shoot stuff can either be a separate workshop or it could be a bonus for your offer.
Right. Yeah. But I think in terms of showing up, whether it's camera or video, either way, well, there's different parts of the boldly visible, right? There's about making showing up with, like I said, like a different kind of creating that boldness, but then there's also the visibility piece of just showing up all the time, so people get to see you and know you and get to know you. So there's the two things. So that's why I have all these different pieces to the visibility that I envision for what I want to teach. And it's like, okay, how do I niche that down into something that's for a mid-tier?
Well, write it all out. This is what I suggest. Write it all out. Okay. And then start putting the pieces together. Like, okay, like, the mindset to show up or the confidence to show up goes with the on-camera stuff. So kind of like put them together, like have your list of what they're doing and their results and start to put them together in modules. And the way I've always done my modules is because you don't want to overwhelm people.
Right.
And I've done that before. Like my very first course, I thought I was doing a great job because I was like, I'm giving them everything, and people did not finish the course. They couldn't complete it. It was too complicated. It was too much. I, was just like, I thought it was like maybe an hour's worth of content every week. And I actually had someone evaluate my course because I made a lot of sales on the front end, but like people didn't complete it. And when the lady evaluated my course, she was like, she's like, how much content do you think that was in your course? And I was like, I don't know, maybe like an hour a week. And then like homework or whatever. And she's like, there was about 5.5 hours worth of content in each module. Like, it's no wonder why people did not complete this thing. So when you think you're doing a service to people by giving them everything, you really want to dial it back to like, what are the most important things? So for example, in my first course, I had a social media module. And in my social media module, I literally had how to do Twitter, how to do Instagram, how to use Facebook groups, how to
Right.
use Facebook, and that was just wrong, right? So when I redid the program, it was more the foundational pieces of how to use social media. So it didn't matter which platform you chose, like it was going to be your content, how you're showing up. So I would break it down like that, just because, yes, you have a lot of ideas and a lot of knowledge and things like that, but you don't want to confuse your audience and you want them to be really clear on like, this is what I'm getting, And so what I do is I think of like, what is the main thing? What is the main thing that I want them to have? Okay, online visibility. What are my top 3 things that I want to talk about with online visibility? My next topic is getting camera ready, right? Or being confident on camera. That's my next topic. Out of confidence on camera, what are the top 3 things that I need these people to know about confidence on camera? So I kind of break it down like that. And my weeks are usually like 6 to 8 weeks, and then broken down into like 3 subtopics within each one.
Mm-hmm.
So I would break it down like that and just like get it out of your head and onto paper so that you can actually see where all these pieces come together and how that's going to make sense for you.
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff written down, but that's the thing. I have like a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like I still have so much that I have to niche down.
But that's the thing I want you to know is that you don't it doesn't all have to go into this program.
Right. Well, no, I can't. That's the problem. So that's why I'm So this is what I struggle with. I feel like there's so much I want to talk about that it's like, okay, what am I gotta niche this down so much. Like that's my struggle.
Well, I mean, you can still talk about other things and just bring them back to this is my main offer right now,
Yeah. But I was thinking I want it to be, I think like a 3-month, I think mid-tier would be good for me.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because once you guys learn how to market and sell this offer and get it like in a flow with this, then obviously you're going to have upsells. You're going to have like a higher thing or a longer thing. You might have, a membership or a course or something else that's a downsell. So it's not like this is the only thing you can ever do. It's just like, for me, this is going to be your bread and butter. This is going to be your moneymaker. This is going to be like, once you have this mid-ticket thing filled, your bills are paid, you're good, like you're set. You have that consistency and that baseline in your income, and then you can do other things, right?
Yeah.
So
well, I think once you go through it too, like you said, like the beta, that gives you a lot of feedback. So once those 3 months are over, like, okay, this is how I want to revamp it. This is what I want to add for next time. So I feel like the first time is like, it's a trial run. And then you tweak everything, you figure out what worked, what didn't work, and how can I make it better?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yep. So it's like your version 1.0. You're just going to, what are the main topics that I want to cover, and then go from there, and you can improve it later.
Okay.
Cool. Vanessa says, my ideal dream clients are coaches, consultants, and course creators. I feel like I already knew that just because you said online business. So I think as long as you could even add, let me go back up to what's the name of your course. The Online Business Finance Blueprint for Coaches, Consultants, and Course Creators. It's very specific, and it tells me exactly what it is, what I'm getting, and who it's for. So I would keep it simple. And I like that too, because it's like my parents have an accountant. My dad is a mechanic. He's been in business for like 50 years. And like the way they do their accounting and stuff is like, oh my gosh. Like, I don't even it's definitely not how I do my accounting. And like, I know that the woman that I work with, who's like my bookkeeper and accountant, like she understands my business. She understands online business. So I know a lot of online business people, it's like, if I took my, whatever tax forms to what's the tax place that everybody goes to, like, I don't know, H&R Block or whatever, like, they'd be like, what the heck is all this? They're not going to understand it. Oh, why are you spending so much money on, education? And like, what's this, and this? So I think it is cool to have it like, just so it's so clear. The online business, or the online, all right, hold on. Online business financial blueprint for coaches, consultants, and course creators. Like, there's no question what that is to me, right? So I think that's good. Yeah, try not to complicate it. Cindy says, Melissa's still here. I love the idea of bringing confidence part of the branding rather than branding the way everyone teaches it. Yeah. And that's the other thing too, Melissa, is when you speak in your like marketing content, like separating branding, what people think is branding, right? Like my logo, my colors, my this, my that, and personal branding. So that's like content that you can create around that as well. I realized like for my work, people aren't paying me because they want to be a psychologist. They want to know what to do as quickly as possible. They want to be a psychologist, or they want you to be a psychologist.
I'll just unmute myself. It's quicker. No, that was in relation to like throwing everything, like we have absolutely everything. So my content in the course as it stands, that not one single soul in this cohort has even opened. Mind blown when I check the back end. So that they want me, they want my tips, my hacks, my shortening, my process. They don't want my knowledge. I think, oh, I'm going to teach everything so you can do it yourself. No, they don't want that at all. I was like, I'm going to empower you. And I'm like, actually, they just want to know the bare minimum that they need to know to get the results that they want, which is like what cut out 3/4, I think, of what I actually have in the content, which I was like, this is weird, but I don't understand how they're getting. I didn't think I was this good, I guess is what
are they? Would you
be without any content? It's weird.
Would you say that they are your ideal clients though?
Well, they are, because they get epic results, to the point where I was very honest with one mom and was like, I didn't think I when she came at the beginning, I was like, I was a bit concerned that like we would even be able to make a dent in her challenge, because it was over and above what most people come to me with. And actually in the end, because her and her husband did the work, the results are mind-blowing. Like within 3 months, she achieved what people can't get in a year. But that's because they really they did the work.
They did the work. So
that's it.
My point is maybe you do cut out the content.
Exactly.
They probably don't need all of that stuff, which is when I get into the format of the mid-ticket. So even just how like I'm creating here, everything that I'm giving you guys is short. It's a worksheet. It's action, oriented. It's implementation, because I can do 3 hours of video every week and give it to you guys. But if you don't actually implement the process, or you don't actually do the thing, you're not going to get the result. Right. So with this type of program, that is part of the reason why people would pay you more.
I think that's what I've learned is that, when you said the question about the difference, I think I was like, that's probably why would you pay that much, and why would you be in a container for 12 months when rather than a course that's much cheaper. And that's because you have me, like literally.
Exactly.
Me.
Exactly.
So
you're 100%
my
right.
own horn, which made me feel very uncomfortable. Like I wouldn't have expected it. Because the content was created because I'm bored of one-to-one repeating myself.
You could just take all that content and put it into a DIY course.
Well, that's it. It needs to be like tidied up, because it's
so if somebody wants to do it themselves, sure, you can do it yourself. I have this course, 97. It'll walk you through whatever, self-paced. If you want me and you want my feedback and tips on your unique situation, you pay this, to be in this group container.
Yeah, I think that's
And another
actually,
thing you can consider, I consider doing this, but just like through all of my courses, I didn't have to. But one of the things that I considered is like there's a baseline pay. So let's say yours is 5,000. It's 5,000 for 3 months. Okay. Now, if they need more, if they want to continue, then they just pay a lower fee to kind of stay in the cohort. So maybe they pay $500 a month if they want to stay an extra month. Like you could also do something like that. So they're paying.
Yeah, there's a lot of options that it's actually not as cut and dry. So I might not have to actually, I can just use my current courses and have that running as like I could run them live or DIY and then throw in live. That's basically DIY, but I forget to promote them because, well,
yeah. And you could also say like, oh, you're
upsell them up. If you like this, imagine what you can achieve together when we work for this amount. And if it's evergreen, then they just.
And then the course could be a bonus to the group.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're going to get my 12 module course on so that way if they don't go through it, they don't go through it, but they're getting you. So that's one of the things I always say too, like when we're thinking about the price of an offer or like the level of offer, it's the content. So the type of content, what are they actually getting? What I was talking about before. I got to see if I can find, I had a little audio on this of like going, how did I say it? Like going shallow or deep, like within your offers. But it's the content and the access to you.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they pay more because they want to be in a small, intimate group versus I might get a chance to ask a question out of these 4,000 people that are in here, so yeah.
That would make me feel, now that I know that's how they're getting the results, they can pay that and then my one-to-one will go up and then they've got that option. It is always a bit tricky because I do therapy with kids and I'm not going to charge them like, for like 10,000, to work with their kid, but that's a separate, that's not that's something else. It's very complicated when you've got like private practice and online business, but back to the drawing board. But
well, not really. The same thing that I was saying to Melissa and Dana. Like, what are the results, right?
Yeah,
and then kind of you're going to work backwards essentially.
Yeah, it's business model-y, offer suite kind of thing. Okay, super, super handy. Thank you.
Cool. Well, good. I'm glad you guys are making progress. So yes, homework is the worksheet that I posted here for those watching the replay. I'll make sure it is posted in the group as well. And then last week's homework was also in the group. I think Vanessa, you sent me a message on where everything is. Right now, everything's going to be in the group. So if you want to put the notifications in the group or just make sure that you check the group a couple times a week, that's where everything will go until I decide which platform. I'm like in the middle of moving platforms. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to put in the back end. So everything will be in the Facebook group for now. And that's it, guys. So this was awesome. I will see you guys next Tuesday, same time, same place, which is actually my birthday. My birthday next week. So I'll be celebrating with you guys. And yeah, any questions? I love the questions. I love, if you want to post whatever you got so far in the group, post it in the group. I'll give you guys feedback. But I want you to actually take the action, make the progress, and implement. So, all right, ladies, I will talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.